Good evening, brothers and sisters. We continue in our exploration of First Peter chapters 1 and 2 with, surprise, surprise, First Peter chapter 2. We've already covered how even in a simple greeting to the believers, Peter covers so much about the arc of salvation, how things come to how it all comes together. And we've really been enjoying the richness of the tapestry of symbology that Peter is weaving for us with very few words, generally speaking. It's been beautiful, and so I look forward into getting into more of this. Um, Here, uh, particularly in verse 1, we're going to look at he's going to have a series of things that everybody's supposed to lay aside, and we're going to look into and we're going to dive into those and see how each of those are actually commanded out of Torah. And so let us proceed. If I could have Brennan read verse 1 for me.
Well, let me get it up first.
Yep.
Make it a little easier.
Let me
Yeah.
get my police.
There you go.
Wherefore, laying aside all malice, and all guile, and hypocrisies, and envies, and all evil speakings.
Okay, so the I've got here the scriptures for that for those here. Let's
Do you
stop.
want to tell me where they are, and I will get them.
I will go ahead and tell you. Okay, Leviticus for malice. Let's look at Leviticus 19:17. And also 18 too, because those two both have to do with malice. So,
So, are you suggesting that the New Testament is actually teaching Torah?
yes, this is actually exactly what I intend to prove just from this first verse.
Okay. All right. Just
So,
so that way we're clear here, that's all.
yeah, exactly. So, Andrew, do you want to read verses 17 and 18 of Deuteronomy or of Leviticus? Not, yeah,
One
that
second.
chapter
Yeah.
19.
The one that's on the screen.
Yeah,
Yes.
Verse 19, you said.
yeah, 17 and 18.
Oh, 17 and 18. Okay.
Yep.
Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in no wise rebuke thy neighbor.
Thou
And
shalt
not.
in any
Oh,
wise.
hold on. Sorry. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
So,
I am Yahweh.
so what we have here is a commandment against any form of malice. Thou
Yeah.
shalt not thou shalt not hate, thou shalt not avenge, don't bear grudges. All of these are forms of malice.
Correct. One thing I do want to bring out here, which is one that gets a lot of bad rap on, is thou shalt not in any wise rebuke thy brother. Okay, now, um, uh, King James is not the best in today's English, okay? And another way of saying this, thou shalt in all cases rebuke thy brother when he is doing something against Yahweh's word.
Yeah. Uh, so how is it malice not to rebuke your brother?
It
You're
actually.
allowing you're allowing him to sin,
Mm-hmm.
which is showing no love for your brother.
Yeah.
You're not showing any love for him if you're allowing him to do that without at least a call out.
Yeah, which goes along with this last part, and shall not sin come upon him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And it's interesting. It says here, thou shalt in the next verse, thou shalt not avenge or bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
So, is this suggesting that taking avenge is not forgiving?
Yeah. Vengeance is mine, saith Yeshua.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Vengeance is mine, not thine.
Yep.
The, our duty is to love our neighbors as ourselves. And so here's a question that often there's a question that a lot of people I wonder if a lot of people wonder at. But I have a lot of questions that a lot of people don't ask because I'm just always asking questions. But when you administer the Torah death penalty, are you loving your neighbor?
Actually, yes. And this sounds kind of weird, but the reason it is because you're preventing him from sinning more, thus condemning himself more. In addition, you are loving the other neighbors and preventing them from getting harmed themselves. So you're
Mhm.
loving in two different ways.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
So there you go. Even when you are, even when you are, okay, so next, so there you have it with malice. This is why we need to lay aside malice. Let's go to Psalm 34.
Oops.
Um,
So-
verse 13.
Okay.
This is a commandment. Now, this, since he's teaching Torah here, this is another example that even the writings are considered Torah by the apostles.
Yes. And
What psalm is
it was
this?
either
34.
Paul or Yeshua that stated that the writings was Torah. I'd have to double check the notes. I'm wondering if it
It's
was
Yeshua. Yeshua
Yeshua.
said that.
I
Yeah.
tend to think it's Yeshua. It sounds like I was right. And Ben, I'll let Ben decide if we get into that sidetrack or not. But yeah.
I think it's sufficient to simply state that the apostles, early, the earliest the earliest of what many people would call the Christian church, they knew that the writings were Torah.
Okay.
So let's see, 34:13. Stephen.
Yeah, keep thy tongue from evil and thy lips from speaking guile. So basically, this is going off of don't speak evil about other people.
Yeah, so and so this is actually a commandment here in Psalm 34:13 that actually goes against both the guile and the evil speaking that Peter is telling us that we need to lay aside here.
Now, sometimes people have New Testaments with the Psalms and the Proverbs. So apparently, people still like Psalms, including this
Yeah,
one, right?
right. Well, I wonder if they would like if they I wonder if they would like Psalm 119 so much if they knew that it was talking about the Torah. Um
Probably not, but let's not get them to not like it. Okay?
yeah, that's true. That's true. So sorry, that
Uh,
was a little
no,
facetious of me.
you're completely right, and I actually have a post on that.
Okay.
So,
Yes. Yes, yes.
Deuteronomy?
So, okay. So now for hypocrisy. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 16, verses 19 and 20.
Deuteronomy
19.
16, right?
Hmm.
Oh, 16.
16,
I'm
19.
working. I'm working on it.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll read that. Thou shalt not wrest judgment. Thou shalt not respect persons, neither take a gift, For a gift doth blind the eyes of the wise and pervert the words of the righteous. This is all the perversion of the words of the righteous and the blinding the eyes of the wise. That's all about hypocrisy. That which is altogether just shalt thou follow, that thou mayest live. That which is one cannot be altogether just if they are saying one thing and doing another.
Yeah. Now, so if Ben's done, are you done?
Yeah, that thou mayest live and inherit the land which Yahweh Eloheinu giveth thee. Now I'm done.
Okay, so Deuteronomy is the second telling, and this one other telling I know off the top of my head is in Exodus at the Mount, actually.
Okay. Yeah, so bring it up.
Okay, let me pause it because I don't remember the exact chapter. So give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I did remember kind of the right area, but it ended up being Exodus 23, verse 8. So
23 verse 8.
Okay.
yeah. Thou shalt not take gift, for the gift blindest the wise and pervertest the words of the righteous. So basically, if someone's getting a gift that will alter their judgments away from righteousness, what's going
Yeah. So the thing is that when we start taking gifts for our judgment is automatically in question because it is for sale. And this is the very essence of hypocrisy, that for perception, we speak a good line and we show a good line, but we don't walk a good line.
Yeah, and this kind of brings out how this is part of the 10 divisions of Torah that was received on the mount with Moses. Okay.
Hmm.
So, and these are giving explanations how to keep those 10. And this is a big deal one in them. Of course, they're all big deals, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And so this is that is for hypocrisy. And of course I do think it's pretty clear where we're going to find the Torah commandment against envy. I do believe it's in Exodus chapter 20.
One of the places.
Let's see. It's thou shalt not.
Somewhere in the middle.
Verse 17.
No, okay, so that was close.
Yeah. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Wait, is this a commandment against envy?
It says covet, not envy. Come on.
Okay, can we? I think we should. Okay, with that granted, let's look up covet.
All right, you're gonna. All right. No, it's the same thing, but we can go look it up.
Yeah. Because you brought up an argument that somebody would put out there.
Yeah, I was more joking, but
Yeah, but somebody's going to put that out there.
no, yeah. I'm sure someone has. There you go.
All right. So covet, to to desire or wish for with eagerness, to desire earnestly, to obtain or possess, in a good sense, okay, or to desire inordinately, to desire that which it is unlawful to obtain or possess, in a bad sense. So this is definitely envy. You want something that is somebody else's.
Well, yeah, and here actually this is the 10 division of Torah. But if you want, I can go. Oops.
Envy.
Is it Y? What?
Yes, ENVY.
Did I just?
ENVY.
Oh, VY, no E. Okay. Okay.
Okay. So envy, uh, to feel uneasiness, mortification, or discontent at the sight of superior excellence, reputation, or happiness enjoyed by another. That sounds like an inordinate longing for something that is not yours. To repine, to repine at another's prosperity, to fret or grieve oneself at at the real or supposed superiority of another, and to hate him on that account. So this is envy with So this would be coveting with malice. Envy, that's where that is. Envy, not thou the oppressor. Yes. To grudge, to withhold maliciously. Yeah. So all of these things are all about, they're showing you that they're basically, it's the same thing.
I
It's,
would say it's a higher degree than just covet.
yeah, it is covetousness with malice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so we've got a double whammy in the Torah scriptures we've looked up so far against against envy.
Yeah, which goes along with Deuteronomy being a second telling.
Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, I actually did that on purpose. I'll be honest.
Mhm. Okay, well, it wasn't that funny. Um,
So, what
Well,
do you
maybe
want
it was
next,
to
Ben?
Johnny. Maybe it
okay,
was to Johnny.
so yeah, let's go to let's go back to Leviticus 19. Sorry, to Psalm 34, because that also is our that's also the one that's giving us our thing against evil speaking. Psalm 34:13. To reprise that one more time.
Okay.
Okay. Keep thy tongue from evil and thy lips from speaking God. Keep thy tongue from evil speaking. And no, it's not just evil speaking of priesthood leadership, because they're just not big enough to be able to take it.
So hold on. Is it evil speaking to call somebody out for what they for things that they're saying that
Yeah.
aren't right
Okay,
or
No,
so
doing
there's
that
a
aren't right?
evil speaking is
procedure
not
for that.
the evil speaking is when you create a slander against somebody that is not true. It is false witness.
That's not good.
Correct. And for members of the church, there is a procedure on how to take care of disputes that come up. And it's not telling it to your neighbor. Okay.
Mhm.
It's first telling it. And so I forget, it's in Matthew's one place and there's other places. It's in, I think, also DNC 42. Anyways, there's
Yes.
lots of places for it. Um, but
First, you take it between you and that person that has offended you. You guys try to work it out yourselves.
yeah, and then you go work it out with witnesses, and then you go to the elders of the church.
And technically, you would want those witnesses. There's a part. I don't know that this is actually written anywhere, but you might want those witnesses to be impartial witnesses.
That makes sense. And so the witnesses should be someone who's actually witnessed the event that's in question,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
that they should stick to what actually happened and not what you want it to be or them. They
In
should
order
be
for yeah,
impartial in state.
the witnesses are not witnesses of your interactions together. The witnesses are witnesses of the crime at
Yes,
hand.
of the crime in question,
Mhm.
um, which would include your interactions between each other, but not the one that you went to go try to take care of it in private first. So,
Right. And so the main thing is, um, however you do this, everybody should these witnesses should stick to the facts. As they as it's said in an old TV show. Just the facts, ma'am. And so that's a very important. It's actually a very important thing.
Yes.
Okay, so this injunction in chapter 2, verse 1 is also repeated in Ephesians. In Ephesians chapter 4, verse 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 25, and it's but I want to read 24 and 26 too, so that we have so Brennan, if you could read those for us.
And that ye put on a new man, which after God is created in righteousness and true holiness. Wherefore, putting away lying, speak every man the truth with his neighbor, for we are members one of another. Be ye angry and sin not, let not the sun go down upon your wrath.
Okay, and neither give place to the devil. So I think the reason I wanted that 24 24 in there as well, um, is that this actually puts it into the context whereby for why we are actually laying these things aside. It's as we become the new man after we have been begotten anew by the mercy of Christ, i.e., received baptism of fire or justification. We need to
Which
put these things
attaches
away.
baptism of water, right?
Mhm.
Uh,
Right.
so.
Yeah, we need to. We really, literally don't. You know, you've got to be willing to be a new man. You can't. Otherwise, you will not put these things away from you.
And a new man is not a stubborn man in Yahweh's ways. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. So so I wanted to go into that. So let's go back now to New Translation. So as you can see, Peter is teaching Torah to those who have received of the mercy of Yeshua.
Or with the justification, it's specifically grace, which grace is a subset of mercy.
Mercy is a subset of grace.
Or oh, did I do it wrong? Sorry, my
Yeah,
bad.
yeah. Mercy's
You're right. You're right.
yeah,
I sometimes I get those ones mixed up. Sorry,
yeah.
my
So
bad.
mercy is the subset of grace, and as a result of this, which is why you have that word wherefore at the beginning of the chapter, for this cause, because you have received this. Laying aside all malice, and all guile and hypocrisies and envies and all evil speakings. Verse 2, Andy.
Hold on. Verse 2. As newborn babes, desire the sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow thereby.
Okay, so right off the bat, should the newly baptized person be looking for mysteries?
No,
Hell
not
no.
usually.
No, and so just so people know what Ben's getting at, just in case, um, the milk is the basics. Okay, the milk is actually specifically commandments. Okay,
Mhm.
um, and while you're learning the commandments, the basics, you're not learning the calculus. Okay.
Yeah. You don't learn, yeah, or the you don't learn algebra before you learn basic arithmetic.
Yeah.
Outside of that.
And so here these converts, remember, he's writing to Gentile converts among the
Yes.
diaspora.
Now, yes, though I do think this letter is going specifically to leadership of the converts, but they're still converts themselves that are leaders within that congregation. Okay.
Right. So so he's instructing them as newborn babes. Learn the commandments.
Yeah.
Learn the commandments that ye may grow thereby.
And this may sound simplistic, but these simple things actually have a lot of depth to them if you want to sit down and talk about it, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, and so it's really important that those who enter into that enter into covenant with Yeshua HaMashiach, that they seek those commandments. They seek to understand them. They seek teachers who can expound them and who are living them. Because I'm sorry, if you're a teacher who can expound all the commandments beautifully, but you're not living in one of them, you shouldn't be teaching.
Okay, so I'm going to dial Ben back just a little bit. Because most of the time the teachers are Aaronic Priesthood, as we call it today,
That's true.
since Aaron, and they're still working through some things themselves. But the thing is, and I think this is more what Ben's trying to get at, okay, is they're not hiding it.
Mm-hmm.
They're open and honest, and when they make a mistake, they realize it and they go fix it.
Yes.
Okay? They're not ones that are trying to do a lot of sugar talk to make it look like they're fine when they're not. Okay.
Right.
Um,
So, okay, so let's see. Who just read verse 2?
I think
Me.
Okay, Stephen, if you'd read verse 3.
yeah. If so be ye have tasted that the Adonai is gracious.
Yes.
And so this Adonai here, yeah, it does say Lord, but I just from looking at some of the early or later chapter, I'm pretty sure it's Adonai, but this is referring to Yeshua, okay? And
Mm-hmm.
it's Yeshua that is gracious and that is sweet to the taste, which
Mm-hmm.
actually goes along to salvation and Torah, which the part here that they're actually kind of talking about is Torah here. And Torah is a gift, and so it is a gracious that he gives it to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so and that is a good thing too. He's just also talking about his graciousness and taking us under his covering after we've covenanted to keep his commandments. Um, because this is actually finishing up the idea that was begun at the end of chapter 1. Uh, because he's giving them instruction as to um now that you're under that covering, since you've tasted of his graciousness, now that you're under that covering, see that you learn the commandments, stay under the covering. And
Yeah,
as you
keep
learn
eating it because it's
yeah.
Torah it's delicious. Just keep
Mhm.
eating it and living it and have
Yeah.
it become you, actually.
Step into
Become
your
what you
own
eat.
step into your own private land flowing with milk and honey.
Yeah.
Because Yahweh has one for you, if you will keep your covenant that you make with him to obey all his commandments, not just the ones that the Christians said were cool.
They're all cool, actually.
Yeah.
I'm just a lot of people don't understand them. And so
Yeah.
that's why they don't think they're cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the coolest kid on the block is Yeshua.
Uh,
And
amen. Amen.
he kept them all.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be like the cool kid. I want to be like Yeshua. Keep
Yeah.
them.
Amen. Amen. If so be that ye have tasted that Yeshua is gracious, to whom coming as unto a living stone, disallowed indeed of men, but chosen of Elohim and precious. So we're coming to Yeshua, the living stone,
Yeah,
the
yeah. So,
living,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
the living revelation, the living word.
Yeah, so I think a lot of what this living stone is going off of is the two stone tablets of Torah, okay, which would go
Mhm.
along with the tasting of honey.
Mhm.
But rather than just saying the two tablets, they're saying it's Yeshua who is the perfect personification, as in John 1 states. This is another way of Peter stating the same thing.
Yes.
Yeshua is the living Torah, is what that statement is saying.
Hmm. Yeah. And so, and verse 5, Brennan.
Ye also, as lively stones, are built up a spiritual house and holy priesthood to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God by Jesus Christ.
Okay, so here's something really cool because we see here Peter playing with stone and stone, just like Yeshua played with stone and stone with his name in Matthew chapter 16.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
We are, which shows absolutely that the rock upon which the church is built is Yeshua
But yeah, and Revelation.
and Revelation. Yeah,
Yeah,
which is why I was also pointing out the living stone, the living word.
yeah.
Um, and so yeah, Yeshua and Revelation. That's absolutely it. It's not Simon Peter. Simon Peter is a lively stone.
Yeah, and I don't know if Ben wants to sidetrack on that, but we could go look at that. It's not quite what a lot of people make it out to be. So I'll just
Hmm.
leave it at that unless Ben wants to do more.
Yeah, I think that's I think that to sidetrack into that would be probably a little more than because I really there's a fair few verses left.
For sure.
So
You're leading, so I'm following your lead.
so so I'm we'll just say that there's more to it, and maybe at some point we'll visit that. Unless we want to throw unless there's something that we have a recording on that goes into that already.
Not that I know of off the top of my head.
Not that you know of. Okay, but we might go into that later, more in depth later. Um, but here, that same plane of stone and stones, um, you build up a spiritual house and holy priesthood to offer up spiritual sacrifices. Does this mean everything is now spiritual and we don't have to do, and that there will never again be a physical sacrifice? Because this is how a lot of, this is one of those scriptures that a lot of people will pull out of context to say the sacrifice is spiritual now.
No, it actually does not say that. I can see why people would want that, but when you take everything into context, it definitely does not. But
Hmm.
it does, it is bringing out how we live our daily lives is actually an offering unto Yeshua,
Hmm.
is what it's
Yeah.
bringing out.
Well, and I would
It
also,
has
yeah,
nothing to do with animal sacrifices or not, because they were still doing them.
yeah,
Paul, Acts 19 through 21, if I remember correctly off the top of my head,
yes, yes.
um, actually did some, and there's others, but anyways,
Mhm.
um, they're still valid even after Yeshua's death and resurrection. They will be
Well,
coming
yeah,
back.
there's loads of references to the apostles worshiping at the temple.
Yeah, yeah, and doing animal sacrifice, to be
Yeah.
specific on that. And there's stuff about the prophecy of the third temple where it actually specifically states animal sacrifice. So,
Yeah. So these spiritual sacrifices, that is a reference to the life that we live, which is once again showing that there is nothing spiritual but what has a physical manifestation, and there is absolutely nothing physical that is purely physical, that is not also a representation of the spiritual.
Yeah, so the reason Ben brought that out is to go off against some Greek ideas out there. For those who get in deep into that stuff. But the Greeks like to think that the physical is just physical and it's separate from the spiritual. It's not.
Yeah,
You
that's
can't disconnect the two. The physical actions are based off of spiritual motivations.
absolutely. So and our spirit without our fleshly tabernacle is not capable of experiencing the fullness of joy.
No, it's not.
And so, um, when we are resurrected, we're not getting resurrected to a spiritual body. We're getting resurrected in full physical form, capable of experiencing the fullness of joy that Yahweh Eloheinu has for us.
Yeah, and Yeshua touched people and ate fish and honey. In addition, for those of us have spouses and or children, to give them a hug is quite a blessing.
It gives
Yes, it
comfort.
is.
It gives comfort to both parties. Okay, so who just read verse 5?
I did.
Okay. Andrew, you want to read verse 6 for us? Or did you?
Sure.
Yeah.
Wherefore also it is contained in the scripture, behold, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect, precious, and he that believeth on him shall not be confounded.
So here he is quoting Isaiah or Yeshayahu. He gives he is talking about the chief cornerstone. That those who believe, I will lay in Sion the chief cornerstone. Once again, showing as he is teaching Torah here that the prophets are Torah, the writings are Torah, the prophets are Torah.
Yeah, and that they're still valid, actually. Because
Right.
earlier he brought up how the commandments or divisions of Torah are valid, and now he's bringing out the commentary from the prophets is still valid.
So if the writings are Torah and the prophets are Torah, and Torah is not limited to the first 5 books of Moses, what else could be Torah?
I could tell you.
Go ahead.
New Testament, Book of Mormon, most of the DNC, Pearl Great Price. I mean, and in addition, my definition of Torah is every word of Yah that is not a prescribed punishment.
Mhm.
It's everything that he says that is not a punishment. That's Torah.
Mhm. So that's quite a promise that's given to those who believe in the chief cornerstone, that they shall not be confounded. And for myself, I've seen on multiple occasions people who think that they're very smart try to confound uh, all of us here. Have experienced them, people trying to confound us in our words.
Well, for me, I just a lot of times I quote scriptures and expound it. So they're
Yeah.
actually going against scripture,
Yeah,
not
they're actually
me.
fighting. It's like so. One of the things that I have said in the past is, well, I'm just quoting the words of such and such a prophet. So your argument isn't with me; it's with the prophet of God. So, And
Good
so
luck with that.
yeah, but when
Bring it up
you
with Peter.
exactly when you love Torah, when you love Yeshua, who was the Torah personified, because he walked it out perfectly. When you love Yeshua and you love Torah and you know them, you cannot be confounded by people who think they're wise. When you know
As
them,
you keep going,
as
initially
you keep
it can
going.
be. Um, I just want to bring out as you get closer to Yeshua and His Word.
Hmm.
Um, I'll tell you the key that I do in a lot of places. I just quote the scripture.
Yeah.
I, and then just bring out what it says. I honestly think a lot of times a lot of people just have a lot of reading comprehension problems.
Well, I think that when you have a belief system that has to be true that isn't, it will lead to reading comprehension problems.
I completely agree. Yes, I've seen it many times.
So, but okay, so if you'll read verse 7, Stephen.
Yes. Unto you, therefore, who believe, he is precious, as Yeshua, but unto them who are disobedient, um, who stumble at the word. So these are the people who are
Mhm.
wicked and don't like the word. Okay.
Yep.
Through disobedience, whereunto they are appointed a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense. So this is where
Yes.
they have basically become hard-hearted and are going around offending and stumbling people.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so those who believe, to those who believe, what is believe? How do we know that how do we know that somebody believes? You can't really cut their head open and see their belief patterns working.
You can see the
That
fruit.
would be
You can see
dangerous.
the fruits of it in their
You
works.
see, in fact, I'll try to remember to put a link to this, but I do have a redo of Hebrews 11:1 that goes along with that actually
Mhm.
with the fruits.
Yeah,
Um, that it is the fruits that you can see that tells you what's going on the inside.
that's right. So that's how you tell. That's how you can tell who believes, is because they act according to that which they say they believe in.
Yeah.
Uh, so to those to those who say they believe, to those who truly believe in Yeshua, he is precious.
Yeah, well, and then this somewhat goes along with what James said. You can say you have belief, but don't do any works, as in no fruits. I'll show you my faith with my fruits.
And I,
And this,
yeah,
um, I'll just say this real quick, that fruits, sorry, faith is trusting in Yahweh's word and diligently keeping it.
yes.
And when you're obedient and doing the works, you have fruits. Your fruits are your works. So, anyways.
And so here's the interesting thing. This people who believe, to whom Yeshua is precious, are contrasted with what? The disobedient,
Mhm.
which means to believe is to be obedient.
Correct. Because the other side is disobedient.
That's right. And so there we go. And what happens to the disobedient when they meet the real Yeshua? Uh,
They're going to want to hide behind a rock.
I'm going to read verse 8 here.
Okay.
A stone of stumbling. And let's see. For a stone which the builders disallowed is made the head of the corner. And verse 9,
Is
sorry,
become.
is become the head of the corner. So these people, okay, so that stumbling, he moved that stumbling into verse a lot of the stumbling effect into verse 7 already. So yeah, so that's what happens. They stumble over him when they meet the true Yeshua.
So here's if I can just interject a little bit.
Mhm.
So the Sadducees and the Pharisees were trying to disallow Yeshua, right? They
Mhm.
hated him. They hated his teachings. He hated what he stood for. Yeshua is the stone that the
Daddy,
builders
okay.
disallowed.
Orphan.
And he is the one that became the head of the corner,
Yep.
the son.
Yep.
And so this
Also,
verse right here is going along with how the religious leaders of his day, the popular and famous and the knowing ones,
right.
they did not want to allow Yeshua. Okay.
And
Uh,
similarly, um, so yes, the Sadducees and the Pharisees disallowed Yeshua, but similarly, we not but and similarly in Christianity, where they define all that stuff about the law of Moses being the shadow of Christ and therefore being done away. Okay, if you do away with the shadow, you do away with the person who cast the shadow.
okay, so I do want to clarify a term here. Torah is still valid, law of Moses is not. Law
Right.
of Moses is the primarily the punishments. Well, I shouldn't say primarily. They are the punishments that were added at Mount Sinai and some before. That were ended at the cross, which is the biggest ones are the two daily lambs, the um, circumcision, and not everybody being able to have the Aaronic priesthood, which all those three went away. Okay,
Yes. Absolutely.
that's law of Moses. Okay, Torah is the law. Law of Moses is the punishments plus the law. In this, we could get into legal terminology. I'll let Ben decide on that.
Um, well, let's do the Cliffs Note. If we can do the Cliffs Notes version, that'll be fine.
So when a judge makes a punishment law, it's law. Hence the law
Exactly.
of Moses. There's the quick.
Exactly. The Cliff Notes version. Makes if a judge does a ruling against a criminal, that for that criminal, that ruling is law.
Yes, and that was law. Uh, um, through the cross, which Paul brings out. So, but anyways, that's a
Yeah.
big subject. I have a page on it.
But so the law of Elohim still remains, Torah still remains, but the punishments, the performances and ordinances,
Correct.
um, have been uh, uh, have been satisfied,
Correct.
and having been served out, the punishments having been served, they're no longer in effect.
Yeah, and I'll just say this: Numbers 28 actually states that there was an expiration time. And I'll leave
And
it.
also a beginning time.
True. Yes, it does say that too. Yes, you're right, Ben. Yeah.
So, so what we have, so when I say when you do away with the law, I'm not talking about the law of Moses. I'm talking about Torah. If you do away with the law because it's only a shadow of the reality of Yeshua, which is something that these preachers love to teach, I don't even know if they know what they're talking about.
They
Because if you do,
probably don't, to be honest. They probably
uh,
went to school and they just repeating what they got told to repeat.
yeah. So if you do away with the shadow, you do away with the person who cast the shadow.
Yeah, and
That's the
that.
only way to do away with the shadow.
Yeah.
Which oddly enough, that's what ends up happening. But you know,
You know. So verse 9, Andrew.
Yeah, 1 second. Verse 9. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light.
But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people. Who does Yeshua say this about?
So these are said towards people who keep his ways. Peculiar people are people who do things Yahweh's ways instead of their own way or the world's way. And that makes them peculiar because
Yes.
they're different than everybody else.
And that was what Israel was meant to be, and that's why he said this of them before Peter says it to these Gentiles. Peter
Yeah.
is taking that thing that the house of Israel assumed was theirs alone, and he is now putting it on the Gentiles.
Yeah, so one thing I'll just say, this chosen in the beginning of verse 9 goes along with many are called.
Yeah.
Um, chosen has to go along with you're working towards your sanctification, which goes along with the grace. I think I said it right that time.
Mhm.
So, um, or glorification,
Yep.
uh, celestification. Did I say that right? Anyways, it calling election made sure, being perfected. It has many names.
Oh,
Um,
and also something here, we also have this reference to a royal priesthood. And here, he's not talking to Levites.
no, he's not. He's talking to the Goyim, right?
Yes, he's talking to the Goyim.
Yeah. So this goes along with how the Aaronic priesthood only being with the tribe of Levi was done at the end of the cross. This is an
Yep.
example of that. It doesn't specifically come out and say it, but this is an example of where it went away. And even at Mount Sinai, before it was only given to the only allowed to have, but only the Levites were allowed to have the Aaronic priesthood before they did their grievous sin. All the tribes, firstborns, had the Aaronic priesthood. It's there in Exodus.
And so, and that whole fact, the fact that the firstborn were the one that had the priesthood, that's a reference. That's what that reference to the royal priesthood, the firstborn.
Yeah.
So, an holy nation, a peculiar people, you should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. What is light? Light is Torah.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll add a link to a page for where Torah is like.
Hmm. So, where were the Gentiles? Were the Gentiles in a state of preparation because of Greek philosophy, or were they in darkness?
Well, according to the verse, which I would say is authentic and authoritative, darkness.
Yes. So the early Christian fathers got this wrong because they said the Greeks were given philosophy in preparation for the Christian law.
Yeah, well, so I will add to what Ben just said. The Christian fathers took Greek philosophy and merged it with Hebrew thought, which brings out a lot of nonsense.
Hmm. So verse 10, Brennan.
Which in time past were not a people, but are now the people of God, which had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy.
Okay, so which in time past were not a people. Now, a lot of people will take this, what has been done in the past with a lot of Hebrew rooters, is they'll take this verse in connection with um, a verse in with where oh, come on, who is that prophet?
You want me to pause it for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, let me pause for a second. Okay.
So, this verse 10, which in time past were not a people, but are now the people of Elohim, which had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy. Many Hebrew rooters will take this in conjunction with uh,
Hosea.
Hosea chapter 1, chapter 1, verse 9. We're going to read 8 and 9. So if you'll bring up Hosea chapter. Okay, we're going to read 8 and 9. Now, when she had weaned, lo, Rohama, she conceived and bare a son. Then God said, call his name Lo Ami, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your God. It will not be your Elohim. Then said, yeah. So they take these two scriptures together along with a few others and try to build up this idea of how the Gentiles, and it is true that the Gentiles are Ephraim, but they're not.
They try to say that they're still perpetually divorced, which is not the case.
Mhm.
Um, for one, this was talking to a specific group of people, and two, even if it was more than just that one group of people that was alive, the 10 divisions of Torah only state four generations. On top of that, and this is something that I've looked into and been with me because of some things I've said and been tested me, which is fine. That's appropriate. But
Mhm.
we have found how there are prophets after this that are from the northern tribes, showing that
Yeah.
they weren't divorced perpetually as suggested. Okay.
Yeah, that the entirety of them were not divorced perpetually. And the simple facts are some of the first people who saw Yeshua in the temple were from other tribes, Issachar particularly.
Yeah.
Um,
And guess what? The atonement hadn't happened yet. So,
yeah, so and so this is the whole thing about that. Yah, while he may divorce a people on the whole because of their unfaithfulness, will never turn his back on those who faithfully walk out his commandments.
well, yeah, and then just go look at the 10 divisions of Torah, except those who repent. I
Hmm.
mean, I know that's not a direct quote, but that is the idea. So,
Hmm. And so this is a false idea. So if we could go back to that,
so the new translation, I
yeah, to the
presume.
new translation,
Yeah.
First Peter chapter 2. Why can't we just let this say what it says?
Well, I know I believe I know what it says. It says, "In the times past you were not united, but under Elohim you are united."
Right. You
Which
weren't.
goes along with how the prophecies of Zion that the people are united with Torah, which this chapter's been talking about keeping.
Mhm. Right. So you weren't a part of the people before. Now you are.
Well,
And people who were a part of it. And if you read Romans 11, people who were a part of the people had already been cut off so that they could become a part of the people.
yes. And so, just so for people who are not aware, Romans 11 is a chapter about an olive tree and garden. So, anyways.
And the olive tree is the symbol of the unified house of Israel. Many in some instances it has been used for that uh, on banners and what have you.
And I
But
think
yeah,
and I think the olive tree is also talked about in Jacob 5.
Correct, it does.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So I can put a link to ours on that. So
Oh, yeah. So, let's see. Stephen, you want to read verse 11?
sure. Dearly beloved, I beseech you, as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts, which wars against the soul. So, um,
There's all kinds of fleshly lusts.
yeah, and just looking at this, there's probably a better translation as strangers. Um,
Mhm.
we're probably it's not worth putting the time into it right now, but
Sojourners is probably a better word.
yes. But abstain from fleshly lust, as in sexual desires. Okay. Um, that
Or
is a
glutton is sexual or gluttonous desires even. Because those are gluttony is a fleshly lust.
I agree. Oh yeah, and it does say just fleshly, so it would include both. So good point there, Ben.
Hmm.
Um, on the sexual ones, that's to keep a husband and wife together. And
Hmm.
on gluttony, I, I don't know what a purpose for. I want to be honest.
The purpose for um gluttony leads to so many things. It is a sign of your uh it is a sign of a deeply covetous nature.
No, I can see that because you always
Uh,
needing more.
and it yeah, and it leads to so many things. It leads to so many other um it, when we're undisciplined in one thing, gluttony is actually a gateway to a lot of things. When we're undisciplined in one thing, we get to the point where we're undisciplined in many things.
Hmm.
And so gluttony is a gateway.
Yeah, I can see that. Because you're starting to get relaxed in one, you'll get relaxed in others, right?
Hmm. Yeah, this is one of the reasons um, why we should practice in terms of our eating, we should practice somewhat of moderation.
Yes.
Uh, because otherwise, you don't uh, you don't want to be involving yourself in too many eating competitions like I used to.
Yeah. Well, gluttony is actually one of the seven deadly sins, if I remember correctly.
Yes,
Um,
yes, it is.
it is an easy door into opening into many others. So
Mm. All right, so abstain from the fleshly lusts, gluttony, and sexual immorality.
yeah.
Having your conduct honest among the Gentiles, that whereas they speak against you as evildoers, they may by your good works, which they shall behold, glorify Elohim in the day of visitation. So I do like how in the new translation, conduct replaces conversation because conversation, it means conduct, but most people will think, okay, so just say the truth if it says having your conversation be honest among the Gentiles. Have your conduct. Now the Gentiles are going to judge you because you're keeping Torah, but
Yeah,
if
so gonna talk bad about you, right?
yep, they're going to talk bad about you because you're keeping Torah, but they're going to see how you make the community better because you're keeping Torah, and they will glorify. Eventually, they will come around.
Yeah, and there's been people in my life where um they will actually come out and say that I'm like one of the greatest people they know, but they hate that I keep Torah. But I'm like, Torah is what makes me what you like.
Hmm.
They didn't understand that, which is sad. Um,
Yeah.
now on the conversation, the definitions of words and more common definitions even have changed through time. So
Yeah.
I do think they're both still valid, but I do think the conduct is better in today's language.
It makes it a little more idiot proof.
Yes, it does.
So yeah,
So I,
so here's one of those things where you have put your translation skills to the test.
yeah. And it's probably, and maybe I should read this one. It's somewhat minor, but at the same time, it can make a big deal. And so I actually just changed one word, I'll do 13 and 14 since I have them together in the chiasm. Okay.
Yeah.
But I changed the Greek 5293 from submit to subordinate. Now, the reason that makes a difference is such that you don't think you need to submit or keep all these ungodly or Elohimly laws or ordinances that are out there. Okay. That's not what this verse is saying. What it's saying is be subordinate or saying subject yourselves to the punishments that come from men for keeping godly things. Now, a very famous example of this is Daniel, okay, and
Right.
prayers. That's the main one that pops into my head, so that's the one I'm going to use.
Also Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego not bowing to the golden idol.
Oh yes, that is another very good one. And they both actually have second coming inferences to them, so they're both good on that. But um, the two groups were told to do something that was unlawful according to Yahweh. They did what was according to Yahweh anyways, and was willing to take the punishment from men for doing what was right, which is what's being described here. Okay.
Mhm.
So with that an intro there, I'll go ahead and read it. Be subordinate to every ordinance which is a law of man, and I'm going to put unto punishment, which comes clear later in verse 14 and even just later in the chapter. Okay. For Adonai's sake, whether it be the king as supreme, as in he said it himself, or unto the governors as unto them that are sent by the king. Okay. For the punishment of evildoers, this evil people that are putting forth this evil punishment here,
Mhm.
they will have their day at the final judgment unless they repent. Okay.
Mhm.
And for the praise of them that do well, so the righteous, so that the righteous can learn what they need to do in these types of circumstances. Okay.
Mhm. Yep.
Or learn or and get encouragement because they see your example, which
Yes.
there's a place for both there. Okay.
Yes. And I see that the substitution of subordinate with submit, subordinate yourselves to every law of the land. And I do think that that actually is a clearer representation of what was meant to be said.
It's law of man, not law of the land. Law of the land is a
Yeah, law of man.
particular phrase
Yeah,
that actually means Torah. But
yeah,
anyways, I do think you meant law of man.
yeah,
You have it.
yeah. I meant to go with the words that are there, but I obviously screwed up.
Yeah,
So,
that's fine. We all do that. I do it too. But I do agree with Ben. Of course, I'm the one that did it. That said, ordinance gives a better description of what's going on than submit,
yeah,
which is why.
because we are not to obey laws that cause us to break Torah.
Yeah, in fact, Peter, the council, after Yeshua's death and resurrection, he didn't obey the council not to teach Yeshua, right?
But we similarly are not to be insurrectionists.
Correct. Hence, take the punishment for breaking their unjust law, right?
We are to keep Yahuwah's law at all times and honor. And I think there's another verse a little later here that actually sums it all up
Yeah,
beautifully.
there's more, and I did those two because they fit quite well together on the chiasm. So
Yeah. So yeah, and I think there's verses later which sum this whole idea up
there is
very well.
so there,
Okay. So let's go. Brennan, do you want to
it's 15.
do you yeah do you want to read verses 15 and 16 for me, Brennan?
Okay, sure. For so is the will of God, that with well-doing ye may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men, as free, and not using your liberty for a cloak of maliciousness, but as the servants of God.
So here it is. For so is the will of Elohim. Okay, he's about to explain the will of Elohim. He's about to make a pronouncement as to what that is. That with well doing ye may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men. That by keeping Torah, you may show, basically by keeping Torah and living in wisdom, you may show the fools of the fool, show the fools as fools.
Now, I don't remember the timing, but when the Romans were burning the Christians, that actually had the opposite effect that they wanted. It actually caused more people to convert because they saw their conviction
Mhm.
for the truth.
As free and not using your liberty for a cloak of maliciousness. This really puts the knot on it. Don't be an insurrectionist.
Yeah. So I can see how submit could work with these four verses here, 13 through 16.
Mm-hmm.
But just the definition of the word, I still think is not the best, but with the rest
Mm-hmm.
of the context, it could be okay, right?
Yeah, but subordinate is actually, I do believe it is better,
Yeah.
especially with verse 17. Honor all men, love the brotherhood, fear God, honor the king. By the way, verse 17 is a mini chiasm.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Honor all men, honor the king, love the brotherhood, fear God.
Yeah, so the A and the B and the B, where the church is in the center because that's the most important. So,
Mm-hmm.
and with Yahweh, of course. But yeah.
And of course, and here's the thing, fear Elohim. With the love the brotherhood, fear Elohim, that fear, you now realize that that is more of a reverent, loving awe.
Yeah, the fear is a bad translation in my honest opinion.
Hmm.
Anyways.
So that's how I see that. So this honor all men, that sums that up beautifully. Honor all men, love the brotherhood. How do we love the brotherhood? Keep the last five divisions of Torah. Fear God. Fear Elohim. How do we fear Elohim? By keeping the first five divisions of Torah.
Yep.
Honor the king. And that is something that we should do. That falls back into the line of render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, unto God the things which are God's, unto Elohim the things which are Elohim's. Honor the king both ways.
Mhm.
So, verse 18, Brennan.
Servants, be subject to your masters with all fear, not only to the good and gentle, but also to the froward.
Oh my word, this is a hard teaching, isn't it? Don't you think, Brennan? Wouldn't this be hard?
Yeah, I'd say so.
So we
Not
should
only do
probably define forward for most people, just in case.
Yeah, froward means He's an ornery cuss.
Yeah, he's really mean, right?
Yeah. That's what froward means. So,
Now, this is somewhat going along with, in my, sorry if I interjected,
yep, no,
but
go
going
ahead.
along with 13, how do it within the reason of Torah. If he tries to get you to go beyond, take the punishment.
Yes. So, verse 19, Stephen.
Yeah. For this is thankworthy if a man for conscience towards Elohim endure grief, suffering wrongfully.
So,
Oh,
what
go
do you
ahead.
think thankworthy means?
It's thankworthy.
Yeah,
I don't know how to define that than just the word itself.
yeah,
You're thankful for
that's
it,
a really
right?
strange word. I do think that it obviously it means worthy of thanks. So,
Yeah.
how is it worthy of thanks if a man for conscience towards Elohim endure grief, suffering wrongfully?
You go back to the Beatitudes, and the blessing that you'll get because of that, as Yeshua
Mhm.
pronounced there in the Beatitudes.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's in the Beatitudes there, and the funny thing is, those Beatitudes, they're very there's very powerful promises put in associated with those, including inheriting the earth. So for now, you'll have to for now these for their lifetimes, these servants in Peter's day had to deal with these things.
I
Um,
and we still do it today,
yeah,
but
we're all
it's
slaves.
not to the same severity, I would imagine, but it's still there today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just remember how betrayed you felt the last time you did something you were told and you got in trouble for it anyway.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, just remember that. For what glory is it when ye be buffeted for your faults? Ye shall take it, and ye shall take it patiently. But if when ye do evil and suffer, if when ye do well and suffer for it, ye take it patiently, this is acceptable with Elohim.
So I think what Peter's bringing out here is it's easy to do it when you did something wrong,
Yeah.
right? You know you did something wrong,
When you know you're paying a price for your fun.
or your faults, right?
Well, yeah,
Or your mistakes.
most oftentimes that's it's the same idea. When
Oh,
you,
okay. So if they're goofing off, yeah, they deserved it, right?
yeah,
But how
exactly.
much, and I think what's going on here is Peter's bringing out how much more patience do you have when you're being patient when you did nothing wrong,
Hmm.
right?
To do well and suffer for it. Yeah, there's a beatitude that speaks directly to that. Blessed are ye when men shall persecute you for my name's sake.
Yeah. Yeah, and this part that is acceptable with Elohim, right? For
Mhm.
his namesake, or specifically his character sake, because name does mean character. Um, Anyways.
Yep. So verse 21, Brennan.
For even hereunto were ye called, because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example that ye should follow in his steps.
Okay, so here's what I would ask. Who kept the law better than Yeshua?
No one,
Who
Yeah.
walked in Yo who walked in Yahweh's name better than Yeshua?
no one.
Who suffered more than Yeshua?
No one.
And we need to remember that when we're doing well and things are going sideways for us.
Hmm.
Verse 22, Stephen.
Who do no sin, neither was guile found in his mouth. So it's talking about Yeshua did no sin and had no guile, which in verse 1 we were told not to have. And also been reviewed with us, at least some places it's found in the 5 books of Moses, where
Mhm.
Torah is consecrated. Or did I say that right?
Concentrated.
Yes, thank you.
Concentrated.
Yeah, my speech impediment came out. Sorry.
So is guile actually another word for hypocrisy?
No, guile is another word for deceitful deceitful speech.
So lying.
Yep. Neither was guile in his mouth, who when he was reviled, reviled not again. When he suffered, he threatened not. In fact, when he was reviled,
So just so people
he healed
aware,
the servant. He healed the servant of the high priest who was going to kill him.
yeah, it's talking about Yeshua's last hours. So in case it's not obvious.
Yeah, and coming from Peter, who cut off the ear of that high priest's servant and watched Yeshua heal him.
No, it'd been quite a lesson.
Who, when he was reviled, reviled not again. When he suffered, he threatened not, but committed himself to him that judgeth righteously. This is why when people mistreat you, when things are going sideways for you, this is why Yeshua tells us that what we need to say is not a whole bunch of reviling, but God, Elohim, judge between me and thee.
Yeah, and so this is doing a reference to the first division of Torah, how Yahweh needs to be your top Elohim or judge here. Okay,
Mhm.
that's what's going on this last portion of the verse.
Yeah. And then you have something in verse
Yeah,
24?
I have 24. It's another little minor thing, but it can be helpful. So I'll go ahead and read it. So this is my SDR, 1 Peter 2:24, who his, Yeshua's own self bare are repented. And so I that's in the notes, but our repented sins
Mhm.
in his, Yeshua's own body on the tree, the cross, that we being removed from sins would live unto righteousness, which means keeping Torah, by whose Yeshua's stripes we were healed.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful reference to substitutionary atonement
Yes, it is.
that we find imperfectly shadowed in the Day of Atonement rituals,
Well, and
perfectly carried
all
out.
the animal sacrifices, to be honest. So
Yeah, perfectly carried out by Yeshua. Paul talks about this too, where he talking about how Yeshua became sin for us. He didn't really become sin, but he
yeah,
but
that's a bad translation. He
but
took,
but that is a direct reference to the passing of the sins onto the head of the scapegoat.
yeah, and you go look at the Greek, it's taking the sins upon him, not
Yeah,
becoming.
yeah,
It's not a good translation, but anyways.
yeah, but this is one of those things that points back to Peter and Paul loved and respected one another. You can see it in Second Peter chapter 3. Paul, he talks about the wisdom of Paul. and the words that he says that are hard to understand. So let's go to 2 Peter chapter 3.
Sure.
Verse-
Let me switch that. Well, yeah, I'll just do it this way. Three, right?
Yep. And verses, I think starting in verse 16. Let's see. Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. Hard to understand. It's
And
16.
as also in his epistles, Paul's epistles, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned and unstable rest, as they do the other scriptures, unto their own destruction.
Meaning, when they're twisting the scriptures, they're destroying themselves.
Ye therefore, beloved, seeing ye know these things before.
As in Torah, right?
Yep. Beware lest ye also, being led away with the error of the wicked or the error of lawlessness, the Greek word there is anomia. The Greek word, the error of lawlessness, fall away from your own steadfastness.
Yeah. So you don't fall into the same error of wickedness, lawlessness as these other people are from people twisting Paul's letters, right?
Yeah, and so Paul and Peter had great respect for each other, and a lot of these Jesus words only people will try to create enmity between Peter and Paul.
Oh, that's because they don't understand.
And to do this, they use the words of Saint Clement, Clement of Alexandria.
That's only bad.
Oh, a
Another,
Greek guy, huh? Very good.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah, and so they, which is funny because you guys are supposed to be Jesus words only, right?
But that's not Jesus only.
I don't even know if he actually worshipped Yeshua.
Uh, well, not correctly, that's for sure. But in addition, it could be debatable who he actually was venerating his worship towards. But anyways, I'm not him, right?
Yeah, I can't
I,
really, I
I,
can't
I
really say for
have
sure.
I have grown up in error myself, so
Yeah, yeah. The Clement was one of the was one Clement and Polycarp were the two of the earliest of the church fathers.
Yeah, well, I'll just say this: the if people saw the church fathers today, they would excommunicate them, even in the Catholic Church. Did
Yep,
they? People use them when they're convenient and throw them away when they're not.
yep. Yeah, it's really interesting when it's really interesting watching Protestant and Catholic apologists cite the early Christian fathers. It's kind of funny, but
Why? I'll just say, why are they quoting scriptures? But anyways, let's move on.
I know, because the scriptures actually don't say what they need them to say.
They don't.
But so the point is,
Well, there is one more verse.
yeah,
Depending on what you want to do, just so you're aware.
yeah. So the point is, the substitutionary atonement is spoken of by both Paul and Peter. They both, and they're, and it draws on, and it was first taught, it was, and the first teaching of it that we see is in the sacrifices that Cain, Adam and Abel gave. Is that sub of that substitute? That's the first instance that we see that substitutionary atonement taught, and the substitutionary atonement the is
Eternal
also
place.
is also beautifully shown in the land covenant, where in the land covenant with Abraham made by Yahweh, as Yahweh alone walks through the broken and bloodied animals, saying that he will be broken so that Israel, his people, not by blood, but by obedience, may have the land. That substitutionary atonement is hinted at there, and it's shown throughout the Old Testament. If you don't believe that the law teaches the gospel, that's because you don't know the law.
Well, yeah, you haven't really read the Old Testament
And
and
be,
the five books of Moses with the right eyes.
and because and because you don't know the law, you don't even really know the gospel.
Yeah, because if you don't know what the problem is, how do you know he came to resolve?
Because if the law is done away, then he made himself absolutely irrelevant.
Yeah, well, if there's no law, you don't need a savior.
Yeah.
The Book of Mormon and the New Testament teaches that.
So I think that, and so let's see. Brennan, read verse 25 for us real quick.
For ye were as sheep going astray, but are now returned unto the shepherd and bishop of your souls.
Ye were as sheep going astray, but now are returned with onto the shepherd. Okay. All of us. I mean, that's for anybody who's having to learn. In many ways, these two chapters are for all of us in this era, because nobody knows the way. Nobody hardly knows the way. There's not, or at least there's not very many who do.
Yeah, I think it's better to say there's hardly
Unadulterated.
Yeah.
And he will again send one mighty and strong, like unto Moses, to return the sheep to the shepherd and bishop of their souls, who is Yeshua HaMashiach. If you have turned to Torah, you will recognize him.
I'll just tell you why. It's because he's going to be teaching it. So.
Yeah. If you've turned to Torah, you'll recognize him. If you haven't, you will reject him.
Yeah.
At least until, at least at first. Because you haven't, your heart isn't for Elohim. Because what is Torah? It is the revelation of the mind and will of Elohim. And if you're not for Torah, you're not for either the mind or the heart of Elohim. You don't like him. You don't love him. You need a heart transplant.
Yeah.
Go to Yeshua. Receive that heart transplant now. Come under his covering. Keep his commandments. In the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, Amen.
Amen.
Mm.